Throughout the history of this channel, we've talked about many characters, some loved, others despised, but today, we're diving into one of the most despicable villains in television, Jack Randall. However, we won't be focusing on his cruelest acts in detail. Instead, we'll explore his life, or at least what Diana Gabaldon has allowed us to know through her books. Jonathan Wolverton Randall, better known as Black Jack, was born on September 3, 1705, in England. His family held a certain social standing, as his father, Sir Dennis Randall, was knighted in the late 17th century and received a baronetcy granted by King George I. This granted the family a certain level of prestige and financial stability. Jonathan was not the eldest son. He had an older brother named Edward, who inherited the family estate in Sussex, as was customary in noble families of the time. His younger brother, Alexander, took a very different path by becoming a clergyman and embracing a quieter life devoted to faith. Jonathan, on the other hand, chose to enlist in the army. At the time, it was common for younger sons of noble or well-connected families to pursue careers in the church, trade, or, quite often, the military. For Jonathan, joining the British Army seemed like the most natural option. It offered him the opportunity to rise socially, gain prestige, and most importantly, secure financial stability that he could not achieve otherwise. Furthermore, the discipline and structure of the military gave him the opportunity to wield authority, something that, over time, would become one of his greatest motivations. Over the years, Jonathan rose to the rank of Captain of the Dragoons, a cavalry unit tasked with maintaining order and suppressing uprisings both in the colonies and on British soil. His role in the Jacobite uprising of 1745 took him to Scotland, where he was tasked with overseeing and suppressing the rebellious clans. It was during this period that his reputation began to solidify, not only as an efficient soldier, but also as a ruthless and cruel man in his methods of interrogation and punishment. As his career progressed, Jonathan displayed an increasing tendency to abuse his power. His time in the army not only allowed him to climb the military ranks, but also brought out his most ruthless side, earning him the fear and hatred of those under his command. In 1741, Jonathan encountered a young Scottish man named James Fraser, with whom he developed an obsession. Jamie Fraser was living peacefully in Lallybroch, his home in Scotland, when he was captured by British soldiers under the command of Captain Jonathan Randall. Under Randall's orders, Jamie was subjected to severe punishment. He was accused of insubordination and resisting British authority, charges that, at the time, were enough to justify a brutal reprisal. Randall ordered him to be publicly flogged, ensuring that each lash left a mark not only on Jamie's skin, but also on his spirit. The most unsettling aspect of that encounter was Randall's strange fascination with Jamie. There was something about the young Scot's strength and resilience that intrigued him deeply. Unlike other prisoners, Jamie did not break easily, and this seemed to awaken a sickening desire in Randall to dominate him, constantly seeking new ways to break him down. In 1744, Jonathan came close to death at Jamie's hands after being caught abusing Fergus, a young boy working for the Frasers. The confrontation escalated into a duel where Randall was gravely wounded, leaving him impotent and permanently destroying any chance of having biological children. Despite his weakened condition, Randall remained involved in military affairs during the Jacobite uprising of 1745. He was sent back to Scotland, tasked with suppressing the rebellious Highland clans. During these operations, reports surfaced of him pillaging villages, confiscating property, and ordering summary executions to send a chilling warning to those still considering joining the rebellion. His reputation as a cruel and ruthless man continued to grow, especially due to his brutal methods of interrogation and punishment inflicted on prisoners. In 1746, Jonathan found himself in an unexpected situation due to a promise he had made to his younger brother, Alexander Randall. Alexander, a kind-hearted man and the complete opposite of Jonathan, was deeply in love with Mary Hawkins, a young woman from a respectable family but in a socially vulnerable position. Their relationship faced many challenges, as Alexander, being a clergyman, had limited prospects for marriage, and his fragile health kept him constantly on the brink of death. On his deathbed, Alexander was deeply concerned about Mary and the child she was expecting. Aware of the societal restrictions and harsh judgments of the time, he asked Jonathan to marry her to ensure she had a stable position and protection from the stigma she would face as a single mother. Despite his cold and distant nature, Jonathan agreed to his brother's request, perhaps out of a sense of familial duty, or more likely as a matter of convenience and to maintain appearances. The marriage between Jonathan and Mary was never a union of love or affection. Randall, known for his cruelty and emotional detachment, showed no genuine interest in his wife. However, the formality of their marriage provided Mary and her child with a certain level of security and social recognition. This was crucial in an era when single mothers faced severe marginalization and had very few means of support. Despite the absence of love in their relationship, their union resulted in the birth of a child who would later become the ancestor of Frank Randall, Claire Fraser's husband in the 20th century. That same year, the Jacobite rebellion reached its climax with the Battle of Culloden, a decisive confrontation fought on April 16, 1746. Jonathan was present on the battlefield, fulfilling his duty as a British officer. It was there that his path once again crossed with Jamie Fraser, the man with whom he had a long history of conflict and accumulated hatred over the years. Amid the chaos of battle, the two men faced each other in direct combat. Jonathan, known for his ruthlessness and determination, fought with the same intensity that had defined his entire career. However, this time, circumstances were not in his favor. Driven by years of suffering and an unrelenting desire for revenge, Jamie finally overpowered him and ended his life. It was a defining moment that brought an end to Randall's relentless pursuit of him. With Jonathan's death on the battlefield, his story came to an end, but his legacy did not entirely disappear. Although his marriage to Mary was devoid of love, his name and lineage endured through Mary's son, Dennis Randall. Despite being biologically Alexander's child, Dennis was raised under the Randall name, ensuring the family's continuation for generations to come. From that point on, Jonathan Randall became a dark memory for those who had encountered him, especially Jamie and Claire Fraser, who were left to live with the physical and emotional scars he had inflicted upon their lives. And so ended the life of Jonathan "Blackjack" Randall, one of the most sinister and despised characters in the Outlander saga. Let me know in the comments what other topics you'd like to see covered on the channel, and remember, if you enjoy this type of video, the best way to support me is by leaving a like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell. See you in the next video.